Hello, this is Allie with the Perception Trainers, author of The Perception Diet, and today I want to talk to you about what I consider to be one of the most profound and helpful spiritual and life truths that exist on the planet. Okay, so I first heard about this concept, which is this is a super ancient concept. This is not something that I've made up. Obviously, I take no ownership for this. This is just something I want to share with you because it's really impacted my life. So I first heard about this concept back in 2010 when I was doing my yoga teacher training, and my yoga teacher trainer basically shared with us this quote that when the body is sick, spirituality is of no use. And essentially what was meant by this was that when you have like a physical ailment going on, when you've got something going wrong in your body, sitting and meditating and trying to actualize and trying to find God and all this stuff is not actually pertinent to your path at the time. Basically, the idea is get your physical self in order, get yourself healthy, get yourself into a place where you're not dying or in pain or having kind of physical issues, and at that point start to pursue spirituality. Now, I don't believe that this quote was meant to say that if you are struggling with a terminal illness or if you're struggling with an illness or whatever, that you shouldn't think about spirituality. I think the real point of the message was that when you have something going on in your life that you can do something about, right? When you've got day-to-day life problems happening, that it is better for you to focus on, creating a life that's peaceful before you start to pursue spiritual enlightenment or self-actualization or any of these kind of things. Okay, so now fast forward to a couple of days ago. I was watching a video on actualize.org by Leo, I forget his last name, and if you've never checked out his channel, you really should because it's amazing. And he was basically talking about spiritual enlightenment and this idea of having an awakening experience, realizing who you really are and the no self. So realizing the ultimate truth, the absolute truth, that we are all one, we are all connected, there is no I, blah, 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 blah. And then in a follow-up video, he basically said, look, this spiritual enlightenment stuff is awesome. And it's definitely something that he recommends that people pursue and that people go after, and that he believes, and I believe, and I think all spiritual teachers and all spiritual people believe, that essentially us kind of breaking out of the illusion of what we experience in our day-to-day life and starting to come to a place where we truly understand who, that absolute truth rather than the relative truth. That our world is going to be a much better place to be, and pain will be less, and suffering will be less, and all of this amazing stuff will happen for us. That we can stop having these kind of really painful I experiences when we understand the absolute truth that there is no I. So now, basically he said in there, if you've got money problems, if you're in debt, if you're not able to if you're not sure that you're going to be able to put food on the table, if you're struggling with a really dramatic, terrible relationship issue, if you, and he says in the video, if you're dealing with you're overweight and you're having problems with your health and your doctor said, you're probably going to have a heart attack next year if nothing doesn't work or if nothing changes, he said basically, don't worry about this spiritual enlightenment stuff, right? Let that go for now and go get your life settled in a way. Go get your life to a place where it's at relative peace. So, and so basically this leads me to what I want to talk about today, is that this idea of deal with where you are as being the fastest route to get to where you want to be. Okay? So this idea that spirituality has no use for those who are sick. And like I say, I believe that was a watered down or very compacted version of this kind of more lengthy explanation of when you have things going on in your life, so that major distractions going on to your survival, your well-being, and your peace of mind. Setting off on a spiritual path at that point, right? And really trying to get yourself to reach enlightenment and do the work that it requires to, step outside what we believe to be reality, and step outside the pain, and step outside the suffering, and step outside the karmas and the things that we do over and over and over again to like hurt ourselves, and all this is going to be incredibly difficult, and really at the end of the day you might not even care about it enough to really do what is required, like the self-introspection required, the time and space that is required. You might not even have the time and space to sit and meditate or to journal or to really like question what's going on with you, because you've got this kind of like fire in your life, right? And I think that really what this idea points at is something that I find to be incredibly profound and that I have experienced in my life. And this idea basically points at deal with what's in front of you as the fastest way to get to where you want to go, as the fastest way to enlightenment, as the fastest way to spiritual attainment, as the fastest way to the absolute truth, as the fastest way to integrating the absolute and the relative. And what this means is, it's like what I've been saying, if you're sick, deal with your sickness, right? Like, go pursue health and nutrition, go pursue exercise, go pursue healing on that level, right? Go pursue what it takes for you to live in your body in a state of relative health, okay? If you've got money issues, go pursue figuring out what it's going to take for you to live in relative financial balance. And I do believe that, like, of course, right, this is a struggle that our world is systematically set up not to support the wealth and abundance of every person. And that is absolutely true. However, if you're struggling with money, and if you're struggling with your finances, and you're in a place where you can do something about that, which most people who are watching this video are in a place where they can do something about that, then go do what you need to do to figure that out. If you've got like really dramatic, crazy relationships that are super distracting and impeding on your personal satisfaction in life and your personal sense of peace, go deal with that. Go really, look at that issue. And here's the thing, because this is the big lesson in this, is that whatever challenge you're facing in your life right now, that is the next step on your spiritual path, right? Because by going and facing what's actually happening with you in your health that's causing you to do things that are self-destructive, by going and facing the things that are actually happening with you financially, and maybe the beliefs you have about yourself and about the world and about abundance that you need to change in order to come into a relative place of peace with your finances, and even for the world at large, the changes that you might have to make that cause a ripple effect for everybody, right? And the changes that you have to make in order to come into a place of relative peace in your relationships. These are all spiritual things, right? These are all real, deep, actual, self-development, personal development things that need to happen along the spiritual path, whether or not you're going to deal with it with like what's actually happening or on the spiritual path. So this is basically the point, is that rather than spiritually bypassing, because this is what I see so common and I have done, right? That there have been times in my life where my life was in shambles. I'm having a terrible relationship with my body. I'm struggling with money. I'm struggling with all of these things. And I was trying to use spirituality as a way of just checking out of dealing with those issues, right? It was like, yeah, well, none of this is even real. This is all just an illusion, so I shouldn't have to deal with it. I shouldn't have to bother with it. And I even wanted to skip from someone who hated myself, like literally hated myself enough that I'm killing myself with an eating disorder, to all love. Like, I see myself and you as one, and I have this experience of unity consciousness, and I'm just living in this place of love without having to pass through the stage of actually learning to love the one that I am. Whether this is an illusion or not, this is still a relative truth, right? And I was trying to use spirituality to bypass my life, right? I was trying to use spirituality to say, look, sure, I'm dealing with money issues, sure, I'm dealing with blah, 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 but I'm just going to use spirituality to say none of this even matters, none of this exists. I'm just going to go meditate for hours a day and ignore all of these issues. And then as soon as I come out of my meditation, I'm going to fall back into my life, which is shitty. And then all I'm going to want to do is escape back into my meditation over and over again. And this is what I'm saying, is that when I finally said, okay, look, no, spiritual enlightenment is something that is coming, okay? So it doesn't require that I check out of my life in order to get to a place of spiritual enlightenment. What I realized was, as I checked into my life, okay, as I started to actually face the things that were in front of my face, happening in the moment, right? The body image issues, the financial issues, the relationship issues, the work issues, the unsatisfied in my life issues, the wanting to manifest different stuff issues, all of the issues that were facing me in my reality, as I just stopped saying, okay, this doesn't exist, I'm not going to deal with this, I'm just going to be this spiritual person or whatever, as I said, okay, how can I start to actually deal with these things, maybe through the context of a spiritual life, a spiritual person. So how can I start to deal with my body, right? How can I start to learn to love and accept and approve of and treat with respect this vessel that I'm walking in? Because as much as maybe I want to tell myself it's an illusion, it's kind of not, right? I'm in it, it's happening. It's a relative truth. And my money, maybe I think it's an illusion. However, in order for me to eat, in order for me to survive the way that I want to survive in the world, which is, again, a choice, but still, in order for me to survive in the way that I want to survive in the world, the way that I'm choosing to survive in the world currently, I need money. That's a thing, right? I can't just go on pretending that that's an illusion and I don't need to deal with it, because I do need to deal with it, okay? And I think that this is what I'm pointing at here, is that the next step on your spiritual path is not check out of life and go deal with, meditating in a cave for hours and hours. Because the thing is, even if you did that, all of the things that are causing the turmoil in your life, in your body, in your money, in your work, in your relationship, blah, 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 that's all going to go with you, okay? You're not going to check out to the cave and become enlightened and have all this stuff just fall away. Because it's you, right? It's you. This reality, what you are experiencing, is you, okay? So you're going to take that with you to the cave, or you're going to take it with you to your spiritual bypassing in your meditation. And even when we, like I say, when we pretend that we feel a way that we don't, when we say we're fine when we're not, when we pretend that we're at a place of love and acceptance when secretly we're judging ourselves and judging everyone else, we are not causing our progression on the spiritual path to happen faster by denying what's happening, okay? We are actually slowing ourselves down, because what is happening is the next step. What is happening right here, right now for you in your life, the issue that's in front of your face, that's the thing you need to deal with on the next step on your path towards enlightenment, okay? And eventually you will get to a place where you've got relative security and relative safety and relative peace with your body, with your relationships, with your job, with your money, with your finances, and all this. And from that place, right, you will have gained so much knowledge, so much understanding, so much wisdom, so much spiritual peace, right? That the next steps on your journey towards enlightenment, towards satisfaction, towards, self-actualization, whatever, they're just going to be obvious. They're going to present themselves. You're going to know maybe it will be time to go to the cave. And that cave experience will be completely different from that place than it will be from I just want to check out from my life that I don't want to have to deal with. Okay? So the most important spiritual truth on the planet, the most important truth on the planet, is wherever you are right here, right now, is the right place for you to be. This is it. This is not an obstacle. This is not a distraction, okay? Your body is not a distraction. Your money is not a distraction. Your relationships are not a distraction. Your work problems, not a distraction. That is the next step on your spiritual path, okay? Because if we understand the absolute, which is that it's all God, it's all connected, it's all one thing, there is no separation, then there is no difference between you sitting in meditation and you choosing carrots over chocolate cake, or you sitting in meditation and you choosing to, save $5 rather than spend it at Starbucks, right? It's the same friggin' thing. It's all the same thing. And so if you can stop saying, okay, if I'm going to be this spiritual person, I can't deal with any of this stuff. I need to be this spiritual person who's just love and light all the time and never admits how I actually feel, and never admits that I have an actual personality or wants or needs or desires or individuality, because the ultimate truth is that I don't really exist. Well, again, that's bypassing. That's actually keeping you stuck, right? That's not moving you forward. That's holding you back. Okay? Because when you really arrive at this place where you understand the absolute truth, it doesn't negate the relative. And that's the thing, right? If at any point your absolute understanding is negating the relative of what is actually happening right here, right now, that's division. That's not unity. That's not complete integrated understanding. Okay? So this here, what you're dealing with, is the most important thing. So deal with what's in front of you. Don't pursue self-actualization at the cost of your body. Don't pursue enlightenment or connection with God or an understanding of the absolute at the expense of your finances, at the expense of your relationships, at the expense of your safety and security in this life, because this is the curriculum. This is the curriculum you entered into. Okay? This is like saying, college is the absolute. I want to be at college. But you're in grade 1 and you're saying, whatever, I'm skipping grade 1, I'm not going to do grade 1, I'm not going to do grade 2, I'm not going to do grade 3, because it's all relative. I want to be at the absolute, right? Okay, but how do you get to the absolute? Through the relative. Okay, this is a part of it. So, be where you are. Deal with what's actually happening, and understand that that is the next step on your spiritual path. And when you fully immerse yourself in what's actually going on right here, right now, your growth and your trajectory will be so much faster. It will be exponentially faster than when you're trying to pretend that what's happening isn't happening. Okay, when you're trying to pretend that you don't feel how you feel, that you're trying to pretend that you're not at where you're at, right? Face what's actually happening. Be where you are. Embrace the thing that's going on for you right now. Be radically honest with yourself about where you're at. Like me, I am being radically honest that I still try to use spirituality to bypass having to love the relative, right? That I still am trying to skip over loving the fact that I'm big and loud and abrasive and not actually very good at fitting into what people want me to do, and that I still seek love outside of myself through people pleasing rather than just approving of myself, okay? This is the fact about where I'm at right now. I'm still there. And so me pretending that I'm at a place where I fully love myself and I fully am just being authentic all the time and I'm never changing my personality in order to get love would be a lie, right? And the fact, and that lying about that isn't getting me to the place that I want to be, right? Pretending that I'm at a place where none of that exists doesn't actually make me at the place where that doesn't exist. That actually holds me back from getting to a place where that doesn't exist, right? That stops me from getting there. So be honest about where you're at. Be honest about what's going on for you. This is like the universe did this to me. I went through this whole long period where I was like, I want to be enlightened, and then the universe was like, fine, you are going to be face to face with all these issues that you've never dealt with, right? That's basically what's happened to me. For the last 5 years, I've just been like facing one thing after another, after another, after another, after another. And it's exhausting at times, and it is exhausting at times, and especially when I'm resisting it, it's been exhausting. But when I've just embraced it, when I've just said, okay, let's be real, I'm not better from my eating disorder yet. Like, there were times along my path where I was like, I had to admit that where I wanted to be wasn't where I was. And I had to say, look, I'm still not better. I'm still not at a place where I'm at peace, and me pretending that I am isn't helping me. And same with finances. I'm still, I still had to admit that there were points on my path where I wanted to believe in abundance and that everything was going to work out for me or whatever, but I didn't. I didn't actually believe that, right? In my heart, I still believed that I had to work really hard and I had to struggle and I didn't deserve what I wanted. And so, again, as I just faced what was actually in front of my face, what was actually real, what was really what I needed to deal with, my health, my finances, my relationships, my relationship with work, it was hard and it was scary and it was not that fun, but it was exactly what I needed, and it brought me to this place where now I can spend hours a day meditating, and it's not unrealistic and it's not checking out of my life because it's a part of my life, but that's now, okay? That's after years and years of dealing with the actual relative, right? And I'm still dealing with the relative. So long story short, blah, 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 deal with what's really going on for you right now. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave them down below. I'd love to hear from you. Find me on Facebook, Perception Trainers, Instagram, Ali_Perception Trainers, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks.